anymore. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just went in.
Panelists, can you take your
Sorry.
seats? Huh?
These are my favorite events, like panels and discussions. People leave here feeling amazing, like thinking about the right things. So these are absolutely the best events here. We haven't done them in a while. We're gonna be doing a lot more of these. Two will be for.
Test 1 2 1 2. What it do, boo? We're still waiting on one more panelist to just join us for a moment. I want to just give a gentle reminder for any and everyone. As you walk and move about the space, please do be mindful of the two cameras that are in the back that are constantly recording. Do not walk in front of them. Duck as you need to. Please and thank you. Also to our panelists, talking to the microphone as best as possible. I know I be yelling, but even right now, I'm going a little off. So let's keep it here so that we're entirely audible for our audience. Thank you all for being here. We have more thanks and welcomes to speak on, but I just want to say y'all look really good, and I'm so appreciative of your presence, truly. Hold for applause.
Alrighty, so I think we're ready to go. Thank you guys again for being here. It's such a pleasure to see you guys for such a very important talk. We also want to thank Shotgun and MCR, Miami Community Radio, as well for being here and working with Soiree, actually. So we appreciate you guys. So a little bit about Soiree. We are a production collective and an event series which designs and curates programs centering Black and brown queer bodies. And tonight, we have an important panel discussion focused on bringing more mindfulness to the queer nightlife scene. This is meant to be a discussion, so we do want your input. We also hope that you as the audience feel empowered to give us input. So we want it, and we want you guys to feel empowered to do so as well. You got something you want to say? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm your moderator, Lex. Again, I am honored to guide this conversation. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And thank you to the panelists as well. So let's take a moment to formally introduce our esteemed panelists. Each one of them brings a unique perspective and experience to this topic. So this is Remi. Remi is the founding member of Soiree. This is his baby. This is his baby. And that boy puts in work. Yes, yes, you need all the applause. That boy puts in work. He's the main catalyst that brought us together as a collective. He's from New York, a New York native.
Yeah.
And he's very passionate about creating elevated and distinct spaces for Black and brown queer folk to enjoy and feel seen. Can you please tell us your pronouns?
He, him, they, them, that bitch.
All the above. All the above. Next, we also have Jamaal. Jamaal Starks is the VP of Impulse, a nonprofit organization dedicated to building a stronger and healthier community for gay men. We hope you can highlight some of the work you've all been doing to create a space for us that prioritizes mindfulness and inclusivity, like your recent Sound Bowl Healing Circle and events like queer yoga. That's beautiful. Next, we have Pressure Point. Hi, Pressure. Hi, Pressure. Thank you for being here, Pressure Point. Pressure Point is a DJ and organizer of Masisi, a national Black, queer, Caribbean event series and production studio. We're excited to hear about your insights on what you have learned over the years from creating unapologetic queer Black spaces. We also hope to learn more about your ideas on the roles of Cupids and Angels.
I got you.
Next, we have Miss Purple Shampoo. Whoop, whoop. Thank you as well for being here. They are a DJ in the rave scene and beyond who has expanded to creating their own event series, Discoteca. Miss Purple Shampoo has shared a lot of insight with us, embarking in order to be present during DJ gigs. We hope you will share your personal experiences and insights on that journey tonight as well. Let me go back to you, Jamaal. What's your pronouns?
Be respectful.
That works, that works. Pressure?
Everything with love.
Okay. Miss Purple Shampoo? Say them. And lastly, we have Akada. I'd like to introduce Akada as a founding member as well of SOIRÉE Miami. They are a talented, multidisciplinary artist, model, and an event curator. As someone, get your cookies. Akada's amazing. As someone with a unique perspective on how intimacy and energy fuels you to dance, we hope that you expand on how this impacts your ability to be present during nightlife events. What are your pronouns?
My pronouns are Data. Hi.
So again, thank you panelists for being here. And now let's just dive into our discussion. Cool? We all ready? All right, great. Remi, could you please talk about the intention and mission of SOIRÉE and just introduce everybody to SOIRÉE?
Hey, SOIRÉE. Thank y'all so much for being here. SOIRÉE means a lot to me, and I always say it was a call to action at first. It was moving to Miami, and not feeling like there was enough spaces for us and enough spaces that we were present in that really highlighted us and that were also really fun to be at. And I also want to give a quick shout out because inspiration for SOIRÉE was my first Masisi event on Juneteenth, that all-white party. If you were there, you had to be there. And I saw that there was opportunity and that this could exist, and if there were more things like it, then people would attend it. And so the intention and mission of SOIRÉE is to essentially give us a space where we can be human, where it's not just a dark nightlife rave in the corner fighting with music, but you can also look good, dress up, feel human, be amongst your peers, and truly get a chance to network and talk your shit, ultimately, for you to get a chance to feel that this is for you and it's by you, and in an elevated way without having to wait until you're in your 40s to dress up and go to a gala, that you can be a young queer person and look good and still feel very rich, even when life is lifing. And so the intention and mission of SOIRÉE is to put us at the forefront and at a really good time in cute spaces where we can show off how cute we really are.
Yeah, life be lifing. Life be lifing. That's beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. This one is to Pressure. So what changes have you all observed in recent years within the Miami scene?
I think for me, because when I moved out to, I'm from Palm Beach. I'm from Lakewood, Florida. And come on, Palm Beach in the house. But yeah, so I moved out to Miami 10 years ago, actually officially, because I graduated in 2013. So yeah, I've watched this entire city completely change. There was no such thing as, the only person I knew that was actually doing events was Gami, and I met Gami at like a disclosure event. So that's how far back it goes. And I think I don't know, I think we've gone through, just like with life, cyclically. So there's been ebbs and flows, there's been a lot of displacement, but then also resurgence that has happened throughout the years. And I think right now we're experiencing something that's on the cusp. I don't think that we're quite there yet, but we have some really amazing players that are rising up, like Rocky stepping up to the scene, like Mr. Bitch stepping into the scene, SOIRÉE. And just I think there's just a beautiful generation. We got a legend in the room, fucking Sensitive Black Hottie, my girl Ray. And there's just so many people at the moment that are loudly stepping into their power, and I think that's what, we're experiencing.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. This one is to Miss Purple Shampoo. We are aware, some of us, that you are on a personal sobriety journey. So I want,
Yes.
I wanted to see if you can expand on that and maybe explain to us how your sobriety, newfound sobriety, is changing, the nightlife scene for you at all.
Yeah, I want to also say first that I'm not currently entirely sober, but I think that highlights more just how it's not a linear journey. I started in like January. Some friends helped me realize that I had like a really serious problem with alcohol, and it started the more immersed I became in nightlife. And it came naturally. It was just like to calm my nerves before a DJ gig, when I wanted to network, but I felt like I didn't have the energy to. You know, it seems easier to do a lot of things when you're drunk. But what I realized being sober is that I'm so much more present, and the experience is just so much more genuine. I feel like I would have gigs or just go out, and the next day I wouldn't really feel anything from it, like it wouldn't really impact me. And now being sober, I feel like it's just that much more meaningful. I feel like we don't really fully grasp how meaningful these spaces are and how sacred they are. You know, it'd be like going to church every week and getting like really drunk. Like, these spaces are so sacred, and obviously alcohol and drugs can enhance the experience, but there's something like so much more powerful and euphoric, I think, about experiencing it sober, that just makes it like much more genuine. Yeah.
So you find that in your journey, and you're right. I'm glad you pointed that out. Any journey is not linear, and it's not the same for everybody. We all have our
1000%,
different
yeah.
paths. So in your journey, you feel that being sober in nightlife spaces allows you to be more intentional and connected with people around you and the things around you. Is that correct?
Definitely. I feel like like alcohol can make you have a good conversation with anybody, really. But when I'm sober, I feel like conversations are a lot more intentional, and I'm talking about things I want to talk about, and I'm really connecting with people in a way that I never really felt before, and I didn't really feel like I wasn't feeling it. Like, I didn't know that I wasn't feeling it, and I don't think people are aware. Like, a lot of people don't even question drinking before they go out. It's just like a ritual, and it takes stepping out of that to really realize, how different it can be when you're sober.
Yeah. And that's also what brings us here today, because we want to talk about having mindfulness in nightlife and in events in general, and incorporating something that is more intentional into our spaces. So that's beautiful. And then, so that leads me to my next question to Akada. Since we are exploring the concept of incorporating mindfulness into our events, and any events as a queer community, what does it mean and what can it look like?
So for me, when I go out, like, and I guess turn up, I usually just have like a cup of coffee or espresso, because that gives me a lot of energy. And also dancing a lot in a room like fuels me to dance more. So I believe that it's all about your mindset and how you go into a space and express yourself. Because I feel like in a nightlife, it's really hard to express yourself because you're so afraid of what others might think of you. But whereas it's all about how you, like, it's all about you. You know, why care about what other people think of you? Just express yourself however you want. And when you express yourself however you want, then it's kind of like a domino effect, and other people see it, and then they, I guess, express that with you. They experience it with you.
And so also, the audience, do you have anything to add to that? Is anybody going through a journey at all? Yes? Are we going through a journey creating mindfulness in our spaces? Do you guys have anything to add or want to speak about your journeys in particular, or ways that we can create more mindfulness in the community?
So how do you like create that space for yourself before you go out? Like, how do you practice mindfulness before you go out?
Well, for me, I've always been the type of person who wants to be authentic, and I think that authenticity allows other people to be authentic as well. Whereas when you drink a lot, then you're not able to be authentic. You're like allowing the alcohol to speak for you. Where if you just not drink at all, or when you just say whatever, fuck it, I can just be, then you can just be whatever you want. Like, why stop yourself from doing that just by drinking or taking too much? Because there's nothing wrong with drinking. It just sometimes it gets overbearing, where it stops yourself from being you. And it's kind of like from a perspective of being also healthy, mentally healthy, and spiritually healthy.
Thank you.
I want to comment on something Akada had said to that point. Once, and Akada was like, you wouldn't drink before going to the gym. Like you wouldn't get really drunk and then go work out and think that I'm going to look amazing and feel amazing being drunk at the gym. Or in any other space, really. So why carry that into other spaces? So I think that the same mentality before you go and do something that you're going to go do for you and feel great about and try to yield the results of is the same kind of mentality you try to grasp onto before going out. I look good. I feel good. I'm with the people I want to be with. That in and of itself can be a high. That can be the feeling that you ride out for a bit.
Right. It's all about intention. Like when you go out, like how do you intent of being? It's all about being, where alcohol suppresses you from being. Just kind of sucks sometimes.
I believe we have another question from the audience.
I was going to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I agree. Honestly, I'm a person. I go to raves down here, and I also help out at times and everything. And I'm usually the only sober person in the whole entire room, basically. Usually, half the time. And I say that through my own experience as well. I enjoy it more fully overall. The whole I kind of do personally I do a whole ritual where I take 3 hours before I even go out, where I just do a whole time for myself basically. And when you do that time for yourself, you're able to be more confident and show your full self when you're in that space and everything and that allows for a new person to come into your life. You can build a community and everything. So I just wanted to add to that overall basically. You just you show more of yourself when you are fully sober in those spaces and everything. So, yeah.
Also, I kind of want to add to a lot of us, especially since we are growing up here in South Florida, it's a toxic environment, nonetheless. We grew up in a very toxic environment where a lot of our life and identity is up to someone else's decision. Our fantasies are sometimes being skewed by somebody else's influence. So I think when it comes to alcohol and drugs and all these things are pleasurable items. So I think we don't really have a full understanding of what even our pleasures are. We're too young to really understand that. Most of y'all just started having sex. Most of y'all we're just able to even buy liquor legally. So I think for a lot of us, I think there's a level of exploration that you have to give yourself grace in, because we are tackling life as adults and we're being thrown into it. There's no rule book, no guidance in that. A lot of us don't have elders in our lives. We're all queer people, so a lot of us don't have relationships with our families. Some of us are lucky enough to have that kind of relationship. So if you're basing a lot of your actions off of your peers are literally making bad decisions with you. So I think has to be an attention to, okay, am I actually ready to do these things? We're participating in adult play, and there's a lot of people, whether you are mindful or not, that are predators, that are preying on you to make bad decisions and for you to be a lot looser and a little bit more liberated. Because I'm not going to act like I don't drink and that I don't do drugs. I'm 28. I'm grown as hell, and I know how to take care of myself. But that took years of me fucking up and took years of me being able to... The internet didn't start really popping off until I graduated high school. So I had time to really curate and refine myself in privacy with my friends, to make bad decisions, to see what my limits are, and to be like, yo, I'm good. I don't need to get fucked up to go out right now. I don't need to get fucked up in order to, see family, because that's what we're doing at the end of the day. We're trying to find these different ways to really escape our lives and just to feel good. So I think really being particularly aware and exploring what does pleasure mean for me internally and not externally will help us decide what mindfulness is, because mindful, just like anything else, is just about intimacy, and just with intimacy, it's all about attention to details. So that's my little comment there.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Speaking of that, we're going to go over to Jamaal. So, as the VP of Impulse, how do you create mindfulness and safety in your community, in your space?
Well, this is interesting because I didn't know that I was speaking to people so much younger than myself. I know I look like y'all, but baby.
Young teen.
These are ancient secrets. So, Impulse is a global organization that's in 15 countries. The parent company is AHF, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And I found Impulse during the pandemic, during the transition in my life, where I ran 2 airlines. That's this ancient secrets back here. I ran the operation of 2 airlines, and moving back to Miami, being a native Miamian, moving back to Miami, I saw the need for Black and brown bodies to have space, like queer people to have space. And I switched my intentionalities in my life to leave corporate and actually work in the community. So not only am I the VP of Impulse, I'm a spiritualist, I'm a healer, I'm also a community organizer, I'm also a model, I'm also on national campaigns, I'm also on the VIV Men of Color Healthcare Board. I do a lot. And so through Impulse, who was restarting their event spaces down here in Miami, I got voted in as the VP. I was like, I wasn't even looking for it. Like, didn't even know I was nominated. And in that, I was like, well, I have this position to curate spaces for people who look like me, for people who are like me. And that's how the intentionality of Mindful Spaces came into Impulse. The Miami chapter specifically was because of my own personal journey and transition and me seeing the need and wanting it to reflect the people who I came in contact with. And so 4 of my beautiful people, 4 of my beautiful spirit friends who are yogis, they decided, they were like, Jamaal, we want you to help curate the Queer Yoga Club, if anybody has gone, at the Miami Life Center. And then 2 of my other friends who are trainers were like, we want to create a safe space for gay people to actually just work out. So with the backing and resources that I had, I said, you know what, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna just fuse it into everybody who comes to me with an idea. I'm gonna try and fuse these resources, because what a lot of the queer community with the Black and brown folks, what happens is we're isolated from those resources. And we don't know that we can actually curate and create outside of what we see. Or what we've been taught to see, or what we've been programmed to see. So it's not until with me holding these positions, I'm able to be a channel, I'm able to be an avenue to support different ideas and different mindful spaces. So that's how it has, that's how these things have been born in the last, I say, year or 2 through me being in Impulse.
What are some of the barriers that you've encountered or noticed for Black and brown people? Yeah, that's a good one, huh? I got a good one.
Okay, sitting with the hat of VP of Impulse and sitting in my Black and brown ass body, and knowing the things that I know. Sometimes it's that we are not in the room, we are not in these positions, we are not in these spaces. We don't know where the resources are, we're not educated, and that's not to speak down on us, but we just, the system is set up against you, baby. And it's not until you get into these rooms and you spur out these ideas in front of these people who say they're your allies, say they're with you, but all on the back end, they're working against you. And also, venue space down here in Miami is specific to, you know, green does go cha-ching, but when they see your black ass, they like, yeah, we might think twice, we might charge you more, we might require more of a deposit. Also, we didn't really know that, you know, this was what you were planning to do until you throw the event. And then we did one in Wynwood and I'm not gonna name the venue, but it's a very nice, beautiful venue. And once I showed up in all my glory and the event was over, they said, oh, you can come back anytime. All the while before, it took a massive amount of work to just get into the venue. They wanted deposits, they wanted this, then they were changing things on us. And it wasn't until after we threw the event that they were like, oh, y'all know how to act. Oh, y'all can come back. Oh, y'all got money. Y'all got money, and resources. And it's just that you just aren't aware until you are aware when you start planning, when you start wanting to create, when you start wanting to curate, you start really seeing, your third eye opens and you start seeing who people truly are.
I think you bring a really good point about the venues. And I wanted to know if the founder of SOIRÉE, if Remi, if you could speak on that. Have you noticed any difficulties with trying to set up any SOIRÉE events or anything like that with the venues?
I think that I'll say that one, we've been really blessed and fortunate, not even being a full year old just yet. Look out for that anniversary. For what we have been able to accomplish, and I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the people we've gotten a chance to work with, who's been part of it. But it for sure has been a challenge in a way where those exact occurrences have happened, where it's like, we need this amount up front. No, you don't. No, you don't. You do things here for free all the time for any and everyone else, and they're whack. You know what I mean? And you'll have it here. I remember the microaggressions of this event of, so what kind of music are you gonna play? What kind of music is it gonna be? Which was just coded for like, this ain't gonna be like ghetto, is it? It's not gonna be like ratchet, is it? And I gotta be like, you know, groovy funk, you know? Like, people love that. We love groovy funk, which really is our aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like, we're not really trying to play, like, this is not a club. We're not trying to be a club. But there was all this like navigating to have to do and like find the most articulated phrases and statements to ding their ears in the right way. And I show up to meetings a certain way. Yeah, you know, dress the part, look the part, and I like to look a certain way, but I have to show up looking a certain way so that I am taken seriously, so that they know that I'm not just like some little hoodlum coming out of wherever trying to just throw a little backyard getty or something like that. And that in and of itself is a challenge because I know I'm fucking poised. I know I'm articulate. I know these things. I don't want to have to try to sell these things to someone else. For you to just allow me to let some people into a room to have a good time, you know? You'll make your money, you'll get your things, you'll get your whatever you need to get out of this event. So it definitely has something that comes up where I'm always like, no, I'll go to the meeting. I'll go by myself because I know what I'm gonna say. I know how I have to say it, I know how I have to be presented, and even that in itself is not anxiety inducing, but it's annoying to deal with. It's annoying to have to try to prop yourself up and go like, all right, we're gonna get this money, we're gonna get this bag, we're gonna get this venue, go, you know? And there definitely has been times of that happening. There's been venues that are like, just non-responsive, you know? And it's like, don't worry, y'all gonna see me again, and I won't want you anymore. Now I have a fee. Now you have to pay me to do this here. And I know I'm blessed and highly favored, so I'm not concerned about anybody that's not on it. Get down and lay down, you know what I mean? We ride about saying, fuck you. And that's gonna be how it is, because I don't wanna have to bow down and cater to people, but I definitely have experienced that there are a lot of uphill challenges that are constantly there, and I do sometimes wonder if it's specific to Miami, specific to what it is that I'm trying to do, and I'm like, okay, we'll take it and roll with it because it's only up from here, you know what I mean? And so I see the challenge and I experience it, but I also welcome it because it reminds me of how powerful I actually am as well.
Yeah, beautiful. You absolutely are powerful, and it makes you stronger, and we appreciate the work. We definitely do. So I want to move on to the topic of promoting healthier and safer dance floors and predatory spaces. So this one goes to pressure. So how can we address this issue and foster an environment of consent and respect in the nightlife?
I think that requires you having those boundaries for yourself. At the end of the day, like you allow shit that you allow things in spaces because you don't have those same boundaries for yourself. If I don't want nobody touching me, I'm gonna make sure that my friends are being touched. So I think it really always, in general with life is a mirror. So if you're not doing that work for yourself to make sure that you're feeling safe and secure, you can never do that for other people. And also if your boundaries are up for sale. I think a lot of people sacrifice a lot of things just to be in the room or just to say that they've done stuff when it's never that deep. If you really want to do it that bad, you can do it in your house. In reality, like we get to live, even in right now, like as I'm still ruminating on like the question earlier, 10 years ago, Miami was worse. In reality, like it was worse to be a queer person navigating. So in comparison, yeah, it's a little bit better, but I think like there is some room that we have in order to be innovators here and to create spaces that aren't spaces. And that's the beauty of it. At the end of the day, like Miami's a racist ass city. It doesn't like black people. It doesn't care about queer folks. Like, we have to call a thing, and move on beyond that. A lot of these places are prying on young girls to get into spaces in order for older men to buy them drinks. It's like a easy formula. So instead of trying to navigate that and work with these people, how about you just do something completely different and not work with them at all and not give them money? You can go to a fucking park and do something there. I think a lot of our imagination, I think to answer your question, is imagination and creating boundaries for yourself will allow for these spaces to be safe.
Okay. Can we hear your insight on the concept of cupids and angels? What is that?
So I've been in nightlife for a really long time, and I've been connected with a lot of queer nightlife spaces throughout the globe. So my queer friends from Philly, they were telling me about the stuff that they do to keep their spaces safe. And there's some tender queers, and I have my qualms with the tender queers, but we love them as well. And they gave me this really great idea of cupids and angels, and the idea of a cupid and angel is because she's a fairy, that tender queer. So when I'm thinking about a cupid and an angel, they have really specific guides. They have very specific goals in their just inception. So a cupid is solely a love archangel. They're out to promote love, to spread love, to give love. So when we brought cupids and angels into MCC, we're thinking, okay, what are all of the details when it comes to connecting with queer people we find issues with? The girls be unfriendly black hotties, love that for me, but also, we need to connect. I think it's a shame that a lot of black queer folks, and I'm speaking specifically to black queer people, that we don't talk to each other enough, that we don't lean into each other enough, that we're not friends with each other in real ways beyond just like topical and social media stuff. So we wanted that to be an act. Or a lot of the girls, they either don't date other black people or they don't feel like they're in a space that finds them attractive. So if you have an issue, any of those issues, you can call upon a cupid to come and help mitigate that situation, whether it be a love connection or making a friend. So that's the cupid's job. Angels, like anybody, we all need angels. Some don't wear, like the saying, not all heroes wear capes. because they have wings. So let's say Miami, because the whole point of my CC, we were really trying to create an action against what nightlife was at that moment, which was a money play against Black peoples, especially Black queer people. So we wanted to find ways to really protect us on a financial tip. So Angel would come in. Let's say you didn't have any money to get an Uber home. Something so safe and easy to mitigate, especially if we're doing a party for Black queer people and trans people and they're being actively hunted down. We should be setting some money aside to at least send them home if they can't get home. Or at a time when Space was charging people fucking $20 to buy a bottle of water, we will give you water for free. We're like, the Angel will come and give you fucking water because you deserve to dance, not die. So yeah, just all of these, we were really trying to figure out all, and I think anybody can do this. You know your life, your nightlife experience. What would you need at a party, and how can you find ways to be solution oriented, and just be cute and cunt and find a cute way to do it. So yeah.
I think that's a really good point. Angels and Cupids is beautiful, but also I think you have a really good point. What do you guys need at a party? What would make you feel safe and cared for? We have one in the back.
Phone chargers.
Period.
I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to a party and I left my charger and somebody doesn't have a charger, or their friend's charger's in the car and they gotta walk 5-10 miles to go get it. Phone chargers. That's it.
Every time I go to a festival or a party and I'm like, why is water $6 or something ridiculous? And I always go to the pages of the festivals and I'm like, water stations should be free. We should be water stations everywhere, because you can sell your fancy water, like sell your $6 bottle of water, but if anything, we just need to give water to everybody for free. That's like the number one way to ensure that people are going to be safe, is if they stay hydrated and you're constantly giving them access to water. So thank you so much for doing that. That's a big deal.
Especially we're doing drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay hydrated, my friend. Stay hydrated.
Dancing.
You're
And
dancing.
dancing.
You're
really
sweating.
depleting yourself.
Miami Heat.
Yeah.
We have another one in the front.
Sorry, I got distracted. I would say overall, like your Cupids and Angels concept, where it's just like, have people who want to protect other people, like have that, how there's like people who host and everything like that, where it's just like, because sometimes security can be a bit aggressive for no reason and stuff. So like I'm saying that like having like at least like 4 people on the floor who are watching everybody, who's like completely present and everything, who's there to like help someone, like, oh, they need water, like this person's passed out type of thing, always having people around that could make everyone feel comfortable is like a really big thing that I feel like is needed in the spaces and stuff.
I also, would add, as an organizer, we can be mindful all we want, but as we throw parties for the public as a community, we have to be all involved. It's an all hands on deck. We all have daytime jobs, and we find time to make it happen, to provide something for us to experience. So it's like, okay, if I can go get this person water, you can too. If I can find this person a ride home, you can offer your ride too, because we're all connected here. Because I would want that same blessing to be passed on to me. And then that creates the culture that we want to live in if we're all participating in that.
I want to say that's one of my favorite things about hosting someone else's event. I have a blast hosting because we we don't like to show up just to be present and just to have a ticket. It's more about, I want to meet every single person. Hi, what is your name? Thank you. If you need anything, come find me. Come find one of us. We're like a team of 4 or 5 people. Like, come find us. We'll get you this, we'll get you that. We're here to make sure that you have a good time, that you are enjoying yourself, talk with you for a moment. Do you need water or anything? And just kind of be the eyes on the floor. When I'm hosting, I'm not even drinking as much because I'm like, this is more fun because I have now reasons to walk up to strangers even more so and just converse with them and make sure that they're okay, they feel connected with, they feel seen. And I wanted to say, because we are talking about safety and Ubers, this conversation I was having amongst my team with Mr. Bitch, Sam there, and it's an idea I would love to throw out because I would love for this seed to grow because I personally do not know how to bring it to fruition, where there needs to be some form of a queer rideshare program. And the idea that I have now sometimes you can't share too many ideas, but I really want to see this flourish and grow, is that what if there's a way, and this is like me also feeling it out how people feel about it, what if there's a way that, you know, you bought your event ticket and you bought it 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance, and there was a ride, a Uber, something built into your ticket. Where, because a lot what happens is you get this ticket on this day, and then come the event, you don't have the funds to attend. You can't spend the $40 to and from for the Uber, you're not going, you're trying to resell it, what have you. But what if you can purchase your Uber at that time? Now, I don't just mean like scheduling an Uber through the app, but it's built into your ticket that come the event, you know you can get to your event safely and it's guaranteed. Because something that's been on my mind heavily is that, and happened after the last panel discussion that I attended, is if we were asking vulnerable people, specifically like the Black women trans community, to come out of the safety of their home, to attend our event and come and spend your hard-earned money, how can we guarantee or try the best to make sure that you can leave your home safely, arrive safely, and return safely? Because you don't have to leave the safety of your bubble. And in this community in Florida right now, many are afraid to for good reason. And so we've been trying to see a way of how can this happen? I don't know what the infrastructure needs to look like. I don't know who to partner with. You know, is it Alto? Is it Uber? It's definitely not Lyft. But who is it that has something built or an idea that's sustainable to start to make this more of a thing that your driver knows that you don't have to feel unsafe in your Uber. Sometimes you feel unsafe with your driver. You know, sometimes they're the predators as well. So how can it start being built that this is something else that is for us and by us, so that the most vulnerable in our community are also being protected while on their way to enjoy themselves in the night out? No one has to share if they don't have any immediate thoughts, but it's something I really want to grow so that we can find a way as a people to build this so that your ride is guaranteed, your safety, you know, is taken as an immediate forethought, you know, not an afterthought, and that you are also being protected to and from your destinations. And I really want that to simmer because I really want to figure out a way to make that feasible and real.
Who all in here is over 25?
Oh, y'all grown?
So you can rent a car, you can rent a van, and then yeah, that would be a part of y'all ticket pricing. If you don't have rides, you just pay an extra $5. At the end of the day, the rental got to be paid, and you have to clean it, and it has to be on full when you return it.
No smoking in the car.
No smoking in the car. Like, this is real adult shit. But I think that would be an amazing idea to have, literally like a magic school bus van type shit. Just like, yo, it's somebody that's in a part of the crew, a part of the soiree crew. That's their job for the night. You ain't partying tonight, love you down. But you gonna be the magic school bus driver, Miss Frizzle, driving everybody around, picking them up. Y'all can go on a little adventure, go pick up weed, do what y'all gotta do, and then y'all get home safe.
I want to add to that because I want to echo, my bad. But yeah, like hiring someone is and then like, because me, I stay in Broward County, so like riding, we can all ride together type of thing. But I was gonna say the same thing, rent like a van or like, it could be a car too or like an SUV or something like that. But because of what Jamaal said, I'm sorry, about like companies saying they're allies but not really being allies. So rather so much someone who is queer driving, you know what I'm saying? So that they'll feel more safer. I feel like.
Hey, I always get weird when I hear myself on the mic. But anyway, I was gonna add to that, like maybe I'm thinking about like how like summer school works, like where like in summer school, like everybody has this place that they meet up and the bus like picks every friend up from that bus stop and takes them there. So whether it's like somebody that lives in Broward, like there's a bus stop for like people in like those neighborhoods, and then there's a bus stop for people that live in these neighborhoods. Like that's like more so able that like you're able to walk to it type of thing, so that you're not, so you're safe like getting to and from the bus stop, but also getting to and from the party. So, cause I like that bus idea. I like this idea a lot.
Let's make it happen. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
I don't be liking to go to things because stuff is expensive, and I like to drink. So.
So one thing we like to do in Impulse is impulsify things, and as you're speaking and all of these ideas are coming, I'm thinking about amplifying this. I can't give out the full version of it, but yeah, let's collaborate, let's talk, let's make this shit happen, because that's what this discussion is all about, right? We can't just talk about it, we gotta actually manifest it and make it come into physical reality. So therefore, let's chat, let's do brunch, let's do some things, you know, and see what the possibilities actually are. I'm a possibility model person, so I'm always about what the possibilities are and how we can make that shit happen now.
An idea just came in my head, and I just thought about maybe having like a group chat where people, share where they're located, and then whoever, picks up whoever, and like it's like a carpool situation, except there's like a whole group of people in one place asking, hey, where are you going? Are you going this right now? I'm located over here, can you pick me up? Something like that, in the meantime.
And also a group chat for people that are coming to events alone and make friends. A lot of people, like, this is a transplant type of city. People come here, they might not stay, they leave, and nobody wants to come alone, and we come here to make friends. So I also think a group chat that includes, people that come by themselves would be great as well.
I was gonna say I'm from here, but I stay in Orlando right now, and we even do this for our texts. We have a WhatsApp because it's encrypted. So we'll just do that on the WhatsApp because technically it deletes after a certain amount of time, just to also keep your location safe for a certain amount of time. Just because you don't want that to eventually leave that paper trail. That's something we do use, but I would love to see it in an actual app. Like if someone could develop an app, or if there was someone coding. We're facing a similar problem up there as well.
Hi, I'm Sammy. I just wanted to say, as someone who also born and raised in South Florida, I've been in a lot of unsafe spaces, unfortunately, and it.
Sammy, yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
It's okay. And it was really hard for me to branch out in general. So you wanted to give flowers to SOIRÉE for always putting consent is sexy on their event pages, because that they are promoting that culture, and I wish more events did that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to follow up on the group chat idea. I was thinking just maybe to get the word out, make an Instagram and post whenever there's an event and let people know oh, we're gonna have rideshare, and then if they're interested, just DM and then put them in the WhatsApp group chat. That way they can all coordinate accordingly. But yeah, it was just a thought that I had just to get the word out. I feel like social media, you can do a lot with social media, and it'd be easier to get the word out through there, and a lot of you would see it and be able to get in touch with that as well. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you all for that. That's exactly what I was looking for. So I didn't have all those ideas myself, so thank you.
So before we move on, because we are going to have our DJs play, before we move on, do we have any more input before the final question?
Regarding the question of what we need on our safe spaces to feel safer, still baffles me that some clubs don't have like testing kits or testing stations in case we're taking any substances. I don't know the legality of it. I believe it is legal because I've seen it in festivals and such, but I've seen cases where friends or mutuals like take a substance that isn't really what they thought they were taking, and it's always I believe most venues do carry like Narcan and stuff, but testing kits would be amazing for the general.
Before we jump to the last question, I'd actually chime in on that. Thank you for bringing that up. That was awesome. Does everyone in this room know what Narcan is? Beautiful. Who doesn't know what Narcan is? Awesome. Can you explain what Narcan is? I promise, I know what it is, I think. Please explain it first.
In the short version, Narcan is a substance that blocks the opioid receptors. So if a person overdoses, you can give them Narcan and it will bring them back to life. Hopefully if it's done within a certain amount of time. I think you can do as many doses as possible. Typically it takes about 2, sometimes 1 depending on how long they've been down, but Narcan is kind of like a safety drug to bring you back in case you overdose.
Specifically from like fentanyl and opioid overdoses, so if whatever you took wasn't what you thought it was, as you phrased. And so I do want to say we have to give out a very, very limited supply of Narcan after this event. If you're interested, come find me. And it's extremely limited, and it's not, it truly is life-saving, so it's not something just to think to have because you may need it, but truly if you feel that you are often in spaces where people are indulging and someone has taken something, or you find yourself indulging or just in these frequent spots where you know for sure that, not even know for sure, because we always hope that this never happens, but that you truly think that this will be a benefit for you to have on your person and that one day it potentially could save someone's life and you feel comfortable stepping into that kind of role, please do talk to me after this. Again, it's a very limited supply. We'll be looking forward and looking to reach out to other groups so this can be more readily available, but by all means do speak to me so that we can properly supply you with. Philip.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, really important to have it on you. I had a personal anecdote of someone that I had known years ago, and they knew someone on their floor that was kind of like a nerd, whatever, kid, and he just randomly had Narcan on him. And there's like, my friend's roommate he was off perks or whatever, is with a friend, and they were ODing, and this kid like saved their life, right? So like, even if you don't think that you're in spaces where like it could be useful, like just have it on you, and it could save someone's life. And then to clarify, it has no negative potential. So even if the person is not ODing on like an opioid or something, the Narcan isn't gonna hurt, right? So you might as well just try. And try like 3 or 4 times, and then if it's not that, then, you should be calling 911 as you're doing it anyway, but yeah.
1 Narcan is good for 1 dose. I can supply anyone who's willing with 1 dose.
Hi, I really love what you all are talking about. Thank you so much for your time and for your consideration of all these topics. I wanted to bring up 2 topics specifically. I wanted to piggyback off of the Narcan convo we were just having. I know there are certain nonprofit organizations or even like grassroots initiatives that are handing out Narcan. I know SOIRÉE is also trying to do that. So I would like to encourage folks to please, consider contacting these folks. I know SOIRÉE, Decrim 305 are some of the organizations that are handing out Narcan. I would also like to maybe encourage folks maybe consider doing training events. Maybe we can teach our community how to distribute Narcan, how to like have it, how to maybe see the signs of an overdose. I think that would be very, very important. Second topic, I wanted to circle back to the rideshare discussion. I used to do ride sharing And as a driver, like I noticed that sometimes what would be a really, really good discussion would be to see if there could be maybe a mutual aid fund that we could start to apply to background checks, gas mileage, car upkeep for those folks who do choose to volunteer to be the ride sharers or like, I don't know, the angels of the night, because essentially that's like the biggest responsibility we have to make sure we get home safely. I'm also very spiritual, and every single night I ask myself, please let me get home safely. And I make sure that like our friends get home safely. That's very, very important. So just some ideas that I wanted to share with you all so we could consider them, because I think what we're talking about are all wonderful discussions, and I'm also very, very happy that we're putting in the effort to initiate this dialogue. So thank you very much.
I will say that the workshops have been happening. A lot of people actually do them. I think the issue is we do live in our own bubbles in Miami because it's big enough to do that. But people like Omi, who used to be a part of, of Witches of Miami, like literally like they do that all the time.
I want to make this clear. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Omi is the one who supplied us with the Narcan to give out, and I did tell them I would give them that shout out. So 100%
Exactly.
shout out to Omi for that.
Yes.
For sure. Sorry.
There are plenty. So like that work is being done, and then there's people like the Dream Defenders, people like Dr. Armin, who is a doctor out of Miami University, who does a lot of work with the houseless community here in Miami, that are constantly. There's so many different people that are like really being heroes without capes. So simple Google searches like harm reduction will find you, that path.
I have a question. Well, question and an idea. So as event curators, how do you select performers? And also, have you thought about doing something where you create like a, inventory of like burlesque and drag performers, or maybe some type of like open call? But I'm asking because I've been doing burlesque for 2 years now, but like starting out, it was just really hard to like book gigs and book environments that like I really wanted to be in. And then just speaking to like other performers, that just kept coming up, like, how do we even get these opportunities to perform? Or how do we contact this person or that person? So I'm just curious, like, as event curators, how do you go about like choosing who performs? How do you find these people? How do you figure out like, okay, this is in the budget to pay this person, and things like that?
I think for me, because I recently just had a show where I actually had Ray perform, who is an amazing performer, and Opal, who is an amazing burlesque performer. I think that as a performer, you have to really do your part in advertising yourself, because people don't know, people's not gonna big you up more than you big yourself up. So I wouldn't know if you're a dancer if you don't tell me, or you don't just bust a split right here and you show what you got, because your talent will get you where you need to go. Your talent will get you where you need to go. And I think, in general, I think all people engaging in nightlife should be going to shows, just out of just like fun. I think a lot of what, for me as an organizer, a lot of stuff kind of has gotten tainted because I have not been able to just go out just so I can have a good time. I don't want to be out here organizing all the damn time. I would like for other people to just step up and create your own. You don't need nobody to make a show. You can make your own show. And that's why I even got into in my situation. I think as a community, we got to get into being solution oriented. If there isn't a space, you fill it. Don't wait for somebody else to fill it for you. And then after you showcasing that, then that will spark up in everyone else that like, yo, this bitch, she just popped her pussy and she organized. I'ma book her and I'ma collaborate with her, because that's the difference. I don't want to be constantly booked by somebody. My ideas are great, so I'm your collaborator.
That's beautiful. These are all beautiful conversations, and I really hope that they continue when the DJs are playing because these are very important. Everybody's in this room for a reason, and we're all trying to create this space and make it happen, and we want actionable things. So I think you guys should definitely continue this conversation. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about the fear of getting tested, and I'm hoping that, Jamaal, you can speak to us about that, and how do we change that? What can we do about that?
So that is one of my biggest platforms. I'm in HIV Thriver, 17 plus years. And my mission, my goal is to reduce stigma amongst the community. Through Impulse, right now we're, I guess, recreating how to get testing out in the community, how to make it feel safer for people. I'm going to draw off of one of my experiences recently at the doctor's office. So I make it a spiritual ritual to get tested every 3 to 4 months, not only because of my HIV diagnosis, but just because I want to know what the fuck is going on in my body. So I want the entire blood panel. I want everything. I was fortunate when I was diagnosed to have the best infectious disease doctor in the country who taught me at 19, 20, 22, 21 how to read my panel and how to take care of myself. Because I just, at the time I said, I just want to make it to 30. Like, that was my mindset. I just wanted to make it to 35. Okay, let me stop. But
Sound like yourself.
But now, going back to that experience, I went into the nurse's station and she pulled my cup back and my swab, because if you know about getting tested, you swab your own ass now and they send you in the room with your own cup. And she said, you don't have to do this if you want to. I was like, girl, give me that. I want to. I want to, thank you. And she was like, no. Like, I know the doctor prescribed it, but you know, most people come and they don't do it. Like, and I said, what? I said, she was like, yes, they actively deny it once they get to the nurse's station and be like, no, I'm good. So, so what I gathered from that experience and what I took from that experience is that people are not feeling safe. There's still that fear, there's still that stigma that comes with STIs and HIV. And as you were saying earlier, to draw off of your pleasure experience, that we are in adult play and sometimes we don't even know what pleasure is for ourselves. This is why it's so important to create mindful spaces, because everything that we seek when we go into these spaces is escapism. Escapism with substances, escapism with sex, escapism, so you have to question yourself. And one thing that Impulse does wonderfully, it was started off of reducing STI stigma, was the name itself, Impulse, is to put the thought in your head. So if I can do that right now, put the thought in your head that when you are actively engaging in whatever, I'm not the judge, you do whatever the fuck you want to do, child, you're a grown-ass person, but you will hear me in the back of your head, or you will hear somebody in the back of your head say, think twice. Think twice. And also think about your own self-care. Even when you are getting tested, you know, think about, you want to know what's going on in your body. You want to know what's actively going on in order to heal yourself, in order to take care of yourself. And so right now I am in the think tank with my team and anybody else who wants to join, because we are actively recruiting, and I love all of this beautiful, rich ideas and talents and minds of how to do this, how to reduce stigma, how to get people to actively participate in their own sexual health. And personally, as Jamaal Starks, the healer, my new platform is called Pleasure Wellness. I want people to understand that when you are well, when you are healing, because you never stop healing, when you get on that journey or path to self and mindfulness, the pleasure gets better. Trust me. Approaching 40, the sex gets better, the pleasure gets better. I haven't drank alcohol in 3 years, and it's not because I was like, alcohol bad. No, it's just my body rejected it because it started healing. And the pleasure gets better. Baby, I bust some major orgasms, okay, baby? Okay, and I fuck some of the most beautiful healed people, okay, who are also on a journey. So it doesn't stop, like, pleasure doesn't have to be toxic, and it doesn't have to just end where your healing is. Like, you can go further, you can reach further, and you can reach farther.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. You might as well take the mic back. This last one's for you. We haven't heard from you that much. Yeah? So speaking of the stigma of getting tested in our community, do you feel, yes or no, and also any insight you might have, do you feel that it would be helpful if we brought STD, HIV, and things testing to our events as organizers?
Of course, yeah, I think it would be helpful, but I think we'd also have to be actively talking about it more when it comes to promoting events and being at the events, because I think just having it there, like, people wouldn't be as likely to just take it, or like if you're with a group of friends or like a lover, like you're not gonna, it has to be like really talked about and not so taboo at the event itself, I think, which is easier said than done. A lot of us aren't throwing events around destigmatizing it, but yeah, I think even just like a host on the mic, or yeah.
So are you saying that if we brought it to the events, we would have to, of course, talk about it more? That's definitely a given. But how do you feel about the participation? Do you feel like we would get a lot of participants for testing at nightlife spaces, or is that not necessarily appropriate for that environment?
I think if we talked about it, there would be participation. I think it would have to be something people are aware of before going to the event. Like I said, like I feel like if you're just at the event, you're drinking, you're doing drugs, like you're not gonna be like, oh, let me go get tested right now. Like it has to be something that people are intentionally doing. Like people that would want to get tested would intentionally go to the event wanting to get tested. Yeah, but I think it could, like, the majority of queer people with sex drives and sex lives, like, are gonna be at these events. So like it is for them, I think the most. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
Maybe events like these will be more appropriate.
Yeah.
Like, this is community at the end of the day, right? So maybe, like, we're all here with intention. Maybe more spaces like this.
So when I was in California, I was trying to go to this ballroom event. Sorry, I'm nervous. And just to get a ticket for the event, you had to get tested.
Exactly.
And then I was like messaging, because I'm just like, where is it? How do I get in? And it was like, you get tested, but we're sold out of tickets. So
Exactly.
So maybe just entry.
A lot of honestly, most of the ballroom communities, because of course they've been affected the most, because there's nothing but queer and trans people there, they always have a truck, a HIV testing truck in front of the building. So regardless, like, if we're partying or not, that is still looming in the background. They're like, yo, you about to go home with this person. It's sexy to know that we both are HIV positive, and it's also sexy too if you are and you know it. So then we can destigmatize it, because it's not a death sentence. It's just, okay, cool. You got an extra layer to your life that now I know how to actually care for you better.
Last response from the audience, and we'll wrap it up. I'm so sorry. This is so great. I really want to keep it going.
I'm so sorry. I got caught up in everyone's responses that I lost my own response. But I was thinking to myself how even if you don't need to get the kit, like even if we provide the kit there, we don't like. Sorry, my brain. Sorry, 1 second. Like, I feel like providing the kits, like, it's like that start for people to feel comfortable with their sexuality overall and their sensuality in general. Like, even, like, just having that type of atmosphere created basically allows people to like ring a bell in their head basically and be like, oh, what, like, how can I maneuver like sex better or something like that, or like not, or like also like, oh, like who can I talk to like go to get tested and everything like that, you know? Like I feel like just like even just like that small action will create like a catalyst effect for people in their own lives to do better, for like to move better within their lives and just make that comfortable. Because like in the queer community, we don't know much about, we're not brought up to know much about sexual health and at all and everything, and it's a really big like factor within within our community that affects us deeply. So it's like, you know, starting from a small to a big part really is a big effect. And I think that your suggestions and everything and your insights are really valuable overall because it's important. And so.
I want to thank you all for those comments. And Jamaal, thank you for that story and personal anecdote as well, because I think that personal testimony is also a big driving force and hits home for a lot of folk. And without putting them on the spot and making them too shy, I do want to shout out Care Resource, and we have someone of Care Resource here today, Justice. And if you're comfortable speaking with people like after this, by all means, please find them. Care Resource is an amazing healthcare provider and service. They also have what I believe Justice works in, which is the Project Strength program, which is centered around, and correct me if I'm wrong, but trans people in the trans community and gender affirming care. And they also have a multitude of other resources, food pantries, I think something about some rental assistance. I don't know, I be on that website a lot. But please do speak with Justice, because I think that they are a great program and a great healthcare organization that not enough people, specifically queer people, know about. They do a lot of great things and are very resourceful for you. And so by all means, please connect with them. And there's some flyers on the table for Care Resource as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, that brings us to the end of our panel discussion. On behalf of SOIRÉE, we want to express our gratitude to our esteemed panelists. Thank you guys so much. Truly appreciate it. Also, thank you to the audience. Please give yourself a round of applause because it takes a lot to be here. Thank you guys so much. So enjoy the rest of the evening, post-panel soiree. Please continue networking. There's a lot of movers and shakers in this room. Everybody's here. We all care about the same things. There's people that make things happen. Let's make them happen. And we will listen to our DJs because it's open deck. Thank you, guys.
If you're not following SOIRÉE already, you should be following SOIRÉE.
Honestly.
Follow the page, follow the
Please
page,
follow
come
us.
to our next event. Thank you, loves.
Thank you.
Follow.
Yeah. 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 Can you turn me up a little more? Yeah. Yeah. She moved to the move, to the move, to the beat. I'm staring at that ass when it bounce to the beat. It's too hot to smoke, so that ounce in the Jeep. I'm a rich nigga, baby, I'ma count in my sleep. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You wanna talk about it? You wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You wanna talk about it? You wanna talk about it? Let me tell you motherfuckers what the difference is. Y'all boys change up more than cats' voices. My diamonds A1, his A6. I'm the real McCoy, baby boy, these niggas ain't shit. Let's talk about it. You get a kiss, I get the throat. Let's talk about it. Our pay stubs ain't close. Let's talk about it. I'm on the plane, you on hoes. Let's talk about it. You niggas don't want smoke. Hard, I'm shaking through the pressure. I'm getting top somewhere in North Cabessa. I do my 1-2 step, make your bitch get wet. Then try to give me the goodies like Sierra. I get my chicken on the motherfucking first. My daddy wanna donate chicken to the church. I wanna have our accountants have a verses. I wanna see in this motherfucker who's worth it. She moved to the move, to the move, to the beat. I'm staring at that ass when it bounced to the beat. It's too hot to smoke, so that ounce in the deep. I'm a rich nigga, baby, I'm a count in my sleep. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You wanna talk about it? You wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Fuck nigga, yeah. Cane train don't do a verse without the curse. When I had my baby, I fucked all of the nurse. But my career with that work and it was worth it. 2 girls sucking dick, I had my own verse. Fat Joe, I'm about to buy both of my hoes purse. Got them bitches busting the brick down for a burger. If a bitch ain't talking about fucking, ain't got no service. I told her, hold up, bring in a friend, cause I deserve it. God damn it, big rabbit, I'm a gang banger with a house, a couple $1 million. I made so many of these rappers might have hit your mama. I told these niggas kiss the ring, I'm the Don Dada. I just hit the homie, got a PJ flew to the Bahamas. A couple Cubans came with us, threw them in the corners. I told these niggas kiss the ring, I'm the Don Dada. The top 5